Thank you, Zoe, and welcome in, Zoe. How was your Friday? Oh, hi, Puppy Kitten Trout. Yes, planning for tomorrow. Today. What's up, Tez? So says, I'll be at my computer shortly. Just got out of the shower. Houdini7, what's up? everybody's Friday going?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Ooh, I know this song. Oh, Adhesive Wombat. Nightshade.
Dr. Tobin is here.
Gary. I should call you Gary. Anybody ever call you Gary? Dr. Talbot. Gavin Kibber, what's up? Who's ready to make some plans? Planning for the future. Today. Interesting. Hearing some other audio too. Oh, I'm hearing myself. It's me. Oh, hi, Shay. What is this? Talbot says all the freaking time. Right, Gary? Is Jerry, what's up? Capgiver says plans. We always got plans. They never work, but we got the plans. We need the plans. We got the plans. Welcome in, everybody. Oh, hi. Oh, hi. What are we doing today? Well, looky. We purchased this last year. This is a new or a reproduction of one of the first 8-bit computers I ever had. I was but a mere youngin' of around 12 years old. 11 or 12 years old. We'll do the math in a little bit to try to figure out exactly how old. My first 8-bit computer was the predecessor to this one, which is the Commodore 64, but I had the Commodore VIC-20. 3-point-something free RAM. 3,000 free RAM, something like that. 35, what is it? 32, 5, something, I don't know. We'll get it all figured out. We'll get it all figured out. It's not bad mojo. Thought I got everything. Thought I had zapped all the zaps, but I didn't miss. I missed one. Tolbert wants to know, are those the ASCII code characters on the sides of those keys? You better believe it. You know what the deal is. Look at that. Referring to these Petsky characters, right? Look at that. We got our diamonds, our spades, our hearts. If you wanted to make a card game, you could do it just as easily if you wanted to. You got shapes, you got squares on one side. You can make a square shape, or you can make a heart. You can make a suit. A suit. It was thinking about. Commodore was thinking about those users. Let's get into some 8-bit storytelling. What do you think? I think it's a great idea. Houdini7 says, I had a stone tablet, 1.0. Gabkeeper says, mine was a Commodore PET 2001. Got to December 1980. You still have it? That is incredible. Incredible. Tolbert says, back in high school, I had most of those memorized for programming in BASIC. I've been learning more about BASIC recently as well. BASIC, a interpretive language, a high-level language for Commodore and other 8-bit machines, but mine was mostly the Commodore. It was all the same pretty much. It was some different stuff in the back end, but Commodore made it even more interesting by, instead of having a disk operating system of any sort in the background, they said, you know what? We should make all those calls from BASIC. Good plan. Houdini7 says, I still own my OG TRS-80 Model 1 4K. I have Houdini 7. I have a TRS-80 Model 1 16K sitting behind me, functional. We're going to get to all of those 8-bit computers that I have before this year is over. We're going to take a tour of all the ones I've picked up and got functional, including the recently resurrected Atari 800. which was sent to me by Fastidious. Got it up and running the best I could. It would play carts, but it was still having trouble with keyboard inputs. Come to find out, PokeChip was to be suspected, as it translated some of those keyboard inputs, as well as many other things it did as well. Didn't act right, so I did what some people had suggested. I baked it in the oven, 300 degrees Fahrenheit, for 30 minutes. You may be surprised what happened. But Puppy Kitten Trout says, Timex Sinclair 1000 was my first. Wild! I do not have access to one of those yet, but we'll keep working towards it. Captain Kipper says, I use them in basic games I wrote too. That's right, got to write the basic games. We're going to work on some simple basic games this year, but we're mostly shooting for we're shooting for the fences. That's not the right term. We're aiming for the fences. We're trying to bat out past the fences with learning some learning some programming on a little lower level. We're going to assemble some programming, and I've been learning how that interacts with machine language and so forth. It's the sound chip, right? The joysticks, paddles, and keyboard, right? For the PokeChip, I'm assuming you're talking about, right? But it also takes, got a keyboard, that's right. Arthur Fortune, what is up? And it was delicious. I baked it for 30 minutes at 300 degrees in Sector 7. It tasted great. We're fencing with the shooters. Now, I did just wake up from a nap. So I'm drinking some coffee, kind of getting my thoughts together. If you're watching this on YouTube later, this is not the final form. This is a hangout currently. Currently it's a hangout, but we will make some longer form content that will be more to the YouTube liking. Arthur says, so you're one of those afternoon nappers. Intriguing. If I'm not mistaken, will run on a phone. And if it won't run straight, if there's not one already made for it, you can use RetroArch, I believe, on the iPhone and the Android devices. And you can run RetroArch, and then you can run the Commodore 64 or Vice Core in the background. We'll get to that as well sometime this year. But the real point of all this is an exercise in picking up where I left off when I was a kid of 11 or 12 years old, when I got my first 8-bit computer, the Commodore VIC-20. I had no media to save upon. I did not have a cassette drive or a floppy disk drive, nor were there hard drives at the time. So when you turned your computer off, poof, it was gone. I had a few cartridges. One of them was Radar Rat Race, and I believe the other was Gorf. So a limited selection of video games. So most of the rest of my time was spent with several different computer magazines where I would type in code and play simple games like Hangman, little basic games sometimes. Sometimes I would have more advanced games, but usually they were basic, usually with a bunch of data at the end. Probably creating the graphics if I had a guess. The point is, I didn't know. So when I was typing in those things, it was like typing in some language that you didn't understand, because I didn't. Just typing them in. These words don't make any sense. Sometimes it would make sense, like go to lines. That made sense. It's like, if something happens, you go to. I didn't understand what a conditional was, but you go to, right? Hey, you get here, you go there. So as I grew up, I got more and more into computers, and along the way, I stumbled my way through teaching myself how to program. I already had a passion for interfacing with computers. And so, So that's where I'm picking up at. I'm like, there's this whole gap in my history from performing magic at a higher level than I was. It's like the Apprentice in the Walt Disney movie, where Mickey Mouse, what's he doing? What, is this called The Apprentice? He just does the thing. He does the magic. He doesn't know why it works, but he's wielding the magic, right? And then somewhere along the lines, I slowly had to start putting together things. But by this point in time, the 8-bit life was gone. And so learning how to write in assembly or BASIC never was a thing that I did as an adult. So I want to know about that magic. I want to know about that early computer magic that was writing basic code, understanding the code, and also assembly, which I had no idea what to do with that. None at all. So there you go. So that's the motivation behind this. So I want to see how far I can get if I can create something useful or at least fun in picking up where I left off. Sorcerer's Apprentice. That's it. That's it, Tolbert. Magic. Missed a couple of things. Captain Kipper says, I used my pet tape drive. Took a lot of newspapers, odd jobs to pay for the floppy drive. Very good. $3.99 for the $3.99.99. That's a lot. Yeah, praying for no typos. Isn't that the truth? Like, really praying for those. Hope I don't typo this 8 pages of type-in code. Ooh, Captain Kipper posted a latest find in the Play Retro chat. We'll take a look at that, too. But yeah, so thank you for joining in on this sharing and journey of 8-bit computer stuff. I'm going to try to do this at least once a week. It won't be the only thing I'll do, because we play retro video games, and we do community events, and we even take video games by request. Absolutely, Captain Kipper. Entering stuff from magazines was a challenge, including just going through the books that came with the Commodore VIC-20 and the Commodore 64. Always had sample programs in there. Most of it was, like basic stuff where you ask, the user's name and get some kind of reply. And then we also did little coding stuff that would change the screen color, peeking and poking at the memory and making the colors change to customize it to whatever you want. And that wasn't just exclusive to the Commodore. That's something that we were doing in other 8-bit computers too, whether you had an Apple or if you had Atari or the TRS-80, which ones I'm forgetting, the Timex Sinclair, any of those 8-bit computers. Peek, poke, pokety peek, peek. Gavin says when they came out with a wedge. Now, see, that's something that I haven't learned until more recently, what a wedge is. That did checksums on each line. It was so much better. So that's something that I'm just now learning. Tolbert says we did all of our programming on IBM 8081s. Fancy. Also learned, I went way back, so I've been trying to go to the beginning of the story. Beginning of the story, I feel like, was, we can quickly just say, computers, up until a certain point, were just tabulators. Kind of still, to a certain degree, it's what they're really just doing math, right? They're just tabulating, turning stuff on and off, mathing it. But it's kind of uninteresting to most of us, the math part, up until it became where we could control and manipulate a screen. And that was the thing that got me. It was like, oh, I can manipulate the TV. I can manipulate the TV. Oh, yeah, the race says build your own CPU in Minecraft. It's not a bad idea. It might be a good way to express that. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to download Vice. Anybody can download Vice. Is a emulator for the Commodore. Wait, let's make sure this is the right Vice. That's not the right Vice. Maybe I should have put Vice Emulator. Oh, wow. So you're telling me that my much beloved Vice emulator is not the first, not the second, not the third, not the fourth. Where is... I don't even know who you are, Google. Let's duck, go it. Duck,
friend.
go. Phase 1 of 1. What's up, my friend? You need to write Vice Commodore 64. You might be right. And the Vice also does more than just the Commodore 64. It also does the VIC-20. I think it does the PET as well. Oh, I can't believe you horrible people have pushed Vice so far down the list. So I'll just type in Vice Emulator. Comes up first. Now, this is the official site, vice-emu.sourceforge.io, but of course you can just always head over to the GitHub, right? We'll go the right way. We'll go in the front door. User manual. Nice. Download. All right, I have a Windows source distribution. No, thank you. Going to get a binary? Absolutely. Recommend the GTK3 using interface over SDL2. All right, so we'll do that. I'm on a Windows 11 machine. This works fine on a Linux machine and other operating systems. Phase 101, you were correct. Captain Kipper says it will also do the PET, the C16, which come after the Commodore 64. I have a C16. It's not functional. The TED chip. Maybe I should cook it. I cooked the Pokey chip. That worked for a short time. Maybe we need to do a bake reflow on that one. Faze wants to know, so what are you trying to achieve with Vice? So Vice, this is night 1 of a exploration into picking up where I left off with my Commodore 64 back during the mid-80s. Before I got into game consoles, stepped away from the computers for a little while, got back in, learned how to code, and never got back to BASIC or machine language or assembly, which I never got to really research because I was only 12 and 14 at the time. So I want to step back a little bit and pick back up where I left off and kind of understand what I was doing when I was doing those type-in games. Let's see if I can understand what's going on. Discordia's here. What's up, Discordia? What's up? All right, but I wanted to start out at a common point. If you're wanting to play along at home, you can get the Vice. I mean, most of us should have a PC, Mac, or Linux machine, Android, or iOS devices, and you should be able to run Vice. And if you're not sure how to make it work, let me know, and we'll see what we can do. I know that we also have other options too, but for other 8-bit machines, and we'll eventually get to all of those. We're going to go with the suggested GTK3, because that's what you do. You know, I love SourceForge. Faye says, I do not want to brag about me, but this is what I do. I stream such things here and on YouTube. Very good. I will give you a follow. Let's give... Hey, no problem. Hey, I do retro video game streaming once a week. We mostly focus on... there we go. There's our follow. So, following since 4 minutes ago. I'll check your channel out. But I do a once a week podcast called The Play Retro Show. I've been doing it for about 3 years now. Been podcasting since 2004. Been a computer lover all my life. You want to fight about it? All right. Let's see. Did it already download? Did I miss the download? I did. All right. The download popped up. Let's extract this thing. And maybe I should extract this someplace that's a little less busy than my downloads folder. What do you think about that? I think we will... we'll just call it... We're just going to call it Vice over here, right? Oh, I love this. I love this song. This song is on something I was playing recently. What is this song? 8-Bit Dungeon Boss. I played something recently that it was a more modern thing. Ah, yes! Phase 1 of 1. Anyway, nice that I found you by miracle, since not many of us do C64 coding. C64 coding. Yeah, I know, right? I'm very excited. And trust me, I have a lot of modern, high-level coding experience in languages, but I've never got... I mean, we never see machine language. Why would you need to? Why would you need to assemble your language? Sure, you can compile some languages and stuff, but why would you need to do any of that in our modern machines? It would be ridiculous. I look forward to manipulating the bits and the bytes. I knew it would rename it. I knew it would give me this crap inside of it. What I want to do here. Quick complaint about Windows in general. I hate that the downloads folder finds it necessary and thinks it's cool to group by. The downloads folder always does group by, and you can change that at the top level, and it will always change back. I am on several threads on Windows where people are very mad about this fact, and I'm not the only one. I don't want to do it that way. I want to sort it by name. And by God, if I choose to then resort it by size or date modified, I like to do so without having to look at group by first. Phase 1 of 1 says, nice that you want to dive into assembly. It's what I love. I'm falling in love with it quickly. So much so that I ordered, I have a Commodore VIC-20 behind me. It's a real one. It's a real one. And I ordered Hesmon, which is going to allow me to kind of, it's a monitor of sorts. You know what it is. But for everybody else, it's a monitor and an assembler and a bunch of other stuff. Online Eric, I'm putting the finishing touches on my horrible first C64 game. It's an awesome thing to learn. Yes. Online Eric, that is awesome. And if you're not following Online Eric, okay, so we got two Commodore 64 people already in the chat. So that's awesome. Make sure that I'm going to give a shout out to both Online Eric, and we're going to give a shout out to our new friends, Phase 1 of 1, and it's 101. Okay, I was reading that wrong. Did that do that? Did I say twinkle twinkle little star? Commodore 64 for life, you guys. So you Commodore 64 heads out there, did you guys order the Commodore 64 Ultimate? I got the Starlight Edition, and no, for anyone who's wondering and curious, mine has very little flex. I mean, it is flexing, but I have a feeling that even my old bread bin, if I pushed it this hard, as hard as I'm pushing it right now, I think it would also flex. I have a 3D printer, and I might print the structure supports that like help this a little bit, but mine's not bad at all. Oh, you do have the same Starlight, but I have that of getting into. Oh, nice. Did you print the structure support? You did. Like I said, you got the beige one on there. I'm very tempted. By the end of the year, I may also order another one. I may get a beige one as well. I don't have any interest in the gold one. I got nothing. It's supposed to have some like really cooler new keyboard or something too. I know that's one of the delays that's taken so long on it. I just don't have any interest in. The Commodore 64 is utilitarian. It shouldn't be gold. I almost didn't even get the Starlight Edition. Almost just got, but I was worried that I might mix it up with my other ones. And I was like, hey, at least it'll be kind of different. I can instantly recognize it. Ooh. Jay says, it remembers the last view of each folder, doesn't it? My download sorts. Yeah, it does, Shay. Back to Windows. Yeah, it is so annoying. But it does. It remembers all kinds of stupid stuff. And you said, and if you're thinking like me, you're like, oh, well, you can just go into the folder options, like it's always been for decades now, probably in Windows to change that. But no, it just changes it back every time. It's applied to the downloads folder for some reason. Did we go to an ad break? Is it really an ad break? I swear we got to get that under control too. All right. So here we are. It looks like this is all sorted out. Now, I would think that Vice would be under the binary folder. I do see a C64, but that's usually reserved for stuff like, I would assume, configurations and stuff. And specific files, hardware related, drivers, that sort. Looks like I am correct. All right, let's get into the binary folder here. And I bet you they probably install it under Windows normal. And it's probably got shortcuts for the different modes and stuff. And I'd be wrong. Because I just did an extraction. I didn't do an install. All right, so I happen to know that we want to launch the 64 SC because we want it to be a little more accurate. I forget exactly what the SC stands for. Cycle? No, it wouldn't be cycle accurate because that's the S. So do you run an 8-bit club? Phase 101? I do not. But it is part of my dream. Do you run an 8-bit club? I've always wanted to go to an 8-bit club meeting. And I've mentioned it to many of my friends around town, all tech-savvy people who grew up on 8-bit computers. And I have yet to have the type of response that I would like. I'm hoping that getting a little deeper into this, maybe I can find a way to connect with some locals. I live in South Carolina, and I haven't seen a lot of activity. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means it has not been in my vision. And there may be the biggest 8-bit club, computer club in America right up the road, but I haven't seen it. Phase 1 of 1 says, I go to clubs, yes, here in UK and Italy since I travel a lot there. Yeah. I've noticed in the United States there doesn't seem to be as many clubs for 8-bit, or maybe there's lots of clubs, and that's the problem because they're too fractured and it's harder to see. I don't know. But that's going to be part of the journey. Going to be part of the journey. Here we are, Commodore 64. A couple things you'll need to take notice of while you're using Vice. Down here is your joystick inputs. You got a tape indicator, right? So if you got a cassette tape, let's see if I get maximized on this thing. There we go. I don't know if that really helps that part or not, but it certainly helps in this area. You also have this read here too. That I believe that's device 8. So I can attach a disk. That was typically your disk drive. Always had a 1541 once I had a Commodore 64 that resided on drive 8. So you may know the term load, quote, asterisk, comma, 8. That's the device, comma, 1. I think that's load into memory wherever it was told to load into memory. So if it was saved at a location in memory, then if it has that flag, it'll put it back in the same spot. Casey Turbos, what's up? Is this a computer club for people who like computers? You got it. But I don't want this to just be about Commodore 64 and the VIC-20. I want this to be about all 8-bit computers. Because I have a suspicion, just like my own experience, I lived on a road, and all my friends, which were actually many on that road, including relatives, had a different 8-bit computer. I had Commodore computers. I had a friend who lived right up the road. He had Apple computers. And then I had another friend who had a TRS-80 computer. And then there's one other one. Wasn't a Coco. What was the other computer? I can't remember. But anyway, none of us had the same computer. So we would go to our different houses and get to experience it. And I'd be always surprised. It's like, oh, this is how computers work. We all have, was an Atari? It might have been an Atari. I think they may have an Atari 400. I think that's what they had actually online, Eric. You might be right. Nobody had an Amiga. Nobody I knew had an Amiga. I think I was the only one that was jonesing for an Amiga. BS Repellent says, I'm an Atari 800 XL fan. Am I allowed to watch? Absolutely. I have an Atari 600 XL, I believe, is the one I have. That someone was kind enough to donate. And it was functional last time I looked, and I've got to revisit it. I recently got another one from another community member that was the Atari 800, and I baked the Pokey. We're going to talk about that a little bit too. I baked the Pokey. Shay says, first one we had growing up was an IBM XT. Nice. Nice. Shay, down under. IBM XT, I think my mom was the first one to get into IBM computers. I think she started at a 286, if I'm not mistaken. Phase 101 says, great, man, if you had an Amiga, best computer ever. Yeah, I desperately wanted an Amiga. Like I said, this is Vice. Allows you to run the Commodore 64. Let's see what it says here. Let's get it up. What is it? Alt F12? Nope, that's reboot. Nope. Yep, gotta learn my short codes. Here we go. Is it just Alt? Nope. Okay. I actually went into full screen and now I can't get out of it, so we're just gonna force you to close. Take that. Take that. Because you know what? You can just power it off 8-bit computers. Oh, I see what I did. Alt-D. Give me the Alt-D, as they say. First thing we're going to do is look at some setup for our Vice. And I have no curriculum today, so if it seems a little scattershot today, it's because it is. I'm going to make some notes after this and get a clear path forward. We'll cover specific things. Right now, I'm just kind of seeing who's taking interest. Capkeeper says, take the parts from the 600 and put it in the 800. 16K is useless on an Atari except for carts. Fact. Casey says, we had a VHS player growing up. Does that count? Absolutely. Did you play those VHS games? I don't usually change anything here. There's my auto start disc. Hotkeys, you can go through those. Monitor, let's see. So we got your monitor, and that's not talking about your monitor. It's talking about your machine language on the back end monitor. That comes into play later when we need to start looking at memory, which is right here, right? We could list, we could just take a look at wherever's at memory location 1000, which is typically nothing, so this should be empty. There's a nice little empty area for you. You loved your 600, Discordia? In 1984. Might have been 83. Oh, nice. Casey says eventually we got a Mac LC3, though, and it was, get this, color. Let's get back to our preferences. I don't even know all the settings yet either. This can be part of the exploration. But the primary goal of this is to pick up where I left off as a child, understand, and write my own game, which is something I desired most wholeheartedly as a 12-year-old. I was like, that was cool, but what if I could make it do something else? What if I could take that crappy Hangman game that I played and typed in and modify it? Or what if that crappy Pac-Man clone I typed in, what if I can make a better one? I think that was the first steps to me wanting to get into programming. And so it's important to me to have that journey. And that's why I'm doing this. And along the way, I hope to do a couple of things. Create some graphics. I would like to create some graphics on the VIC-20, but I know it didn't have hardware sprites like you would get on the Commodore 64 and other 8-bit computers. And what that means essentially is you would do character swaps. So instead of your character ROM being accessed, so when you're pressing A, instead of it looking like an A, you can take those 8x8 little area tile map and make it something else. So I want to figure out some game mechanics that I think are reasonable. I want to make my own graphics. I want to create the game completely. It's going to be a very simple game this first year. But I just want to just proof of concept that the dream I had when I was 12 to make my own game, write my own music, make my own graphics, have my own take on a game mechanic, and do that efficiently and for it to run solidly, and then be able to distribute it to my friends. That's it. That's what I want. Flappy Bird in 8 bits. Says Houdini7. Install Print Shop Pro. Let's do it. Discordia says I spent so many hours on my 600 with type-in programs, eventually even writing some basic games, which was mostly rude questions and answer games. I got my friends to play. That's what I did too. I did a lot of the basic stuff. I even wrote, after seeing War Games, I wrote a basic input output kind of thing where I convinced my friends that I was breaking into remotely. I didn't even have a modem. So I even had it make some modem-y sounds. I basically just reproduced what they were kind of, you know, doing a little phone freaking or whatever in there. Would you like to play a game? Yes, I would. Just essentially, I created it just so I could have my friends come over and I could fool them into thinking I was doing something nefarious. Because that was the game I wanted to play. Maybe we'll write that game. Maybe we'll complete that game. All right. Would you like to play a game? Hondo says I had a great original idea today. I'm going to make a brand new class for Diablo 2. Don't tell anyone. I just said out loud apologies. Sorry about that, Hondo. Discordia says I tried to write a text-based thing where you launched the space shuttle. That's nice. I like that. Right, Tolbert. The only winning move is not to play. I say that all the time. Got your jam action, but I'm going to continue to emulate anyway. Like I care. Get log to the files, log to standard output. Like I said, I don't usually change any of this stuff up here. I usually only get down here into the machine area because I don't know the benefit, and maybe some of our Commodore 64 developers in the chat can tell me, but you prefer real hardware? I do prefer real hardware, and we will, once I get to a certain point, phase, I am going to work on real hardware. But I want the beginning steps to be traveled together for a little bit, because I'm sure once I get to a certain point, you guys are probably going to be mostly bored to tears with the real, the real grinding that I'm going to have to do at some point. But starting off, I want you guys to be able to really kind of participate a little bit. Tolbert says 10, print dirty words, 20, go to 10, over and over again. Faye says, I use both. I show on Real Hardware and Vice. And that's my plan, too. I had a really cool find today, by the way. What a stupid find I had at the thrift store. I don't know how this is going to benefit me. And I can't think of any reason that I even have this. But I got very excited when I found it. It's a Goodwill find. I don't always go to Goodwill, but when I do, sometimes I bring stuff back. This is a Radio Shack RF modulator. All right. Now I have a VIC-20 back there, and it's got a ground problem somewhere because I'm having some signal problems. Maybe I'll turn on this a little bit. Got some signal problems going on there, so I got to figure out what's going on there. It's definitely a ground problem somewhere. But this nice little device from Radio Shack. All right, you got your RF TV, right? Then you got your antenna coming in, and that can be whatever. That can be from that can be from a computer system or whatever. It's got S-video. It's got your video and left and right audio, but I'm assuming it. So these are your inputs. These higher quality inputs are going in, and then we're going to poop it out. We're going to poop it out. And I am so curious why this thing is so heavy, but I'm assuming it's because of RF shielding. And I'm hoping maybe, if nothing else, it may have a way of maybe getting rid of some of my junk that I'm getting. So I don't know if adding something in the loop will help, but why not? It's a big old lead block. That's what I'm assuming. I do have an upscaler. You are correct. Phase 1 of 1. Like I said, I've been doing the retro gaming part of it for a while now, and I've had some 8-bit computer stuff, but most of them have been non-functional up until more recently when I've had an opportunity to work on some of them and to bring them back to life. I have, since we mostly only stream in 1080, I don't have much need to upscale beyond the 1080, so I have the RetroTink here. This is the RetroTink 5X, which has a SCART input on one side. Also, it has an adapter that you can do S-video and component. I believe it's component, or is it just composite? It might be both, I'm not sure. But it also has S-video on that side, and it does have component on this one. I think actually it's composite and S-video, or if you got a SCART. So yes, I do have an upscaler. I'm able to do all that. Absolutely. But I have not put that into my workflow. And I do have an Elgato. That's what we're capturing right now. We're actually streaming from one machine, and we're capturing on our gaming PC. And we have a switch that can switch us over to our Commodore 64 Ultra. So we got some fiddles. We got some fiddlies. That's right. I need the 5-DIN VIC-20 cable to SCART. I have been looking at that. I have been looking at a couple of options to improve my VIC-20's look for capturing. Right now, I'm just trying to get it to what I remember on a physical device. I have a couple of older CRTs, older than the ones I have behind me, and I just want to see. Like I said, I'm trying to pick up where I left my journey off, and then we're gonna blast into the future. Casey says, have you tried to see how low quality you can stream with the oldest available hardware? Oh yes. I've got some crap. Well, if you want to see some crap, I've got plenty of descalers, right? I descale my Roku to some old RCA wood panel TVs, which is a lot of fun. I need to find myself an Atari Pong machine. My first introduction to any type of video console. Yeah, right. Right, Captain Kipper. The best VIC-20 will do is Lumicode. I'm still on the lookout for a real Commodore 60 monitor because Commodore 64 monitor because I always wanted one. I haven't found one close enough. I would like to see it. So I would like to visually inspect whatever monitor I pick up. Because I do not want to work on it. Even though I may have to. I would prefer going in going, well, it works now. Captain says you need a Lumicode board and RGB to HDMI device. That'd be nice. 1702 is great. That is one of the ones I've been looking at, Captain Kipper. FaZe says the VIC has an issue with the characters. They are a bit blurry. You need to modify the modulator to be able to get a better stable picture, which is not worth it. However, connected to an OCRT shows perfectly, which has been my experience with a lot of the hardware I have. And that's one of the good things about the RetroTink. It gets you close enough. It gets you close enough. And what it can't do, I can fake it until I make it in OBS, because we have all kinds of great filters, which they have varying success on how they look when scaled on phones. But, you know, let's take a look here. So here's a couple of the retro effects we have. Got a little CRT action there, right? A little blown out, though. So we can probably need to make some color corrections on that one in particular. And none of these are made for really computer stuff. These are all made mostly for gaming consoles. At least are set that way. All right. So anybody know, while we're chitting and chatting, does anybody know why the default is the C64C PAL version with the VIC-2 model set to PAL as well? Is there a reason for that being the default 50 hertz? Is it, I mean, I don't mean to be a snob. I don't mean to be not even a snob. I don't mean to be a American centric, but why not NTSC? Right. There you go, FaZe. FaZe says because most games require PAL. There you go. Captain Kipper also has a theory because the Vice devs are Dutch. I love all those. Like I said, it's all good. It doesn't really matter. I'm always like, hey, why does it got to be that way? There's probably better models, but I like trying to kick back to the ones that I had, which is going to be the C64 NTSC. I had the old bread bin. Oh, they have the old NTSC. What is the difference in that one? I don't really know. I'm sure most of this is visual. And I'm not going to get nuts with the kernel. I'm not going to go like, mine had revision 2 or something. I'm not going to do that far, but I do like mucking around. I also like the older SID model, the 6581. And I like the 60 hertz just because everything else I mostly operate with are that way. We're going to use our glue logic. We're going to use discrete. Why not? Reset goes to the IEC. Not super accurate for me, but yeah, it just makes me feel good. Scorty says NTSC, never the same color. Love it. Love it. Oh, having a good night. What is going on, my friend? Owumushi says, VR says, hope you're having a good night. We're having a great night. Just doing a little 8-bit computer action. Captain says, many impressive demos and SID work require a PAL machine to display and sound properly. That's a good thing to know. And I think I will stay with the NTSC the more I think about it, because those are the real hardware things I have other than the Ultimate. And so if I want to do something on real hardware, I will need to do it on the machines that I have. I'm not saying that I can't pick up a PAL version and do all the other things. I'm just saying that's probably a good reason. And then I will know when I run across something that acts janky. Okay. Faye says, you will notice speed differences on real hardware between NTSC and PAL. Well, even in Vice. All right, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping Vice is a pretty accurate representation of what I'm going to experience on my real hardware. That way I'm not surprised by anything. Also, by the way, if you didn't know this, you can get Jiffy DOS. Yeah, you can get Jiffy DOS still. I purchased Jiffy DOS, actually, and I have it on my other machine because I thought I'd be using it there, but maybe I need to transfer it to this one instead. Speed things up a little bit. I do have Jiffy DOS installed on both my 1541 hardware, real hardware, as well as my Commodore 64, so that would be more accurate towards what I am doing. All right. I don't have any RAM expansion or anything like that on my current machine. Not saying I won't eventually do that. We may change all these things later. I'm just trying to get this kind of close to what I currently have to make sure nothing's too far out of whack. Well, double size, double scan. What you gonna do? Gonna use the internal palette, even though I know you can use these other palettes. They're probably more accurate towards the color, I think. That may be a little more accurate. It's all a crapshoot anyway. Once you get your modern PCs involved, modern CRTs, excuse me. I'm not going to get too deep in this part. Captain says, I want to convert one of my NTSC C64s to a PAL one. I am interested in getting at least one PAL. Hey, PAL! In my collection, so I got to do that. But I got to get an Amiga first. That's higher on my list of wants. Friend. Thank you for the follow, BS Repellent. Hope you're having a good Friday, Saturday, wherever in the world you are. I do have a joystick. I have several joysticks, but we're going to leave it on our numpad for now. And by the way, this is a pretty nice little thing too. This is a little crossover for some reproduction stuff. I have the Atari, the new Atari, basically are selling a lot of, recreations of old stuff. And one of the things they have was this a CX50? Is that what this thing's called? Anyway, back in the day, for me personally, and I think a lot of you too, I had an Atari joystick to go with my Commodore 64. I mean, later on I had other ones. I had like the Epix controller, which was way cool. It was a little palm thing, and it was very clicky. But these were always accessible, and so I would always grab one of these. So I have a lot of comfort in playing games on my Commodore 64 and 8-bit computers using the CX50 from Atari. And this is a CX50 Plus, and I do not miss the days of cables. And so this is wireless, and it plugs right into regular ports or a USB port. So I think they sell these on Atari for like $39. Pretty responsive, feels good, feels like the original sticks, maybe a little bit not quite as stiff as the ones I had back in the day. So that's good. So it's good. I like it. Like I said, and I can plug it into regular USB ports for PC stuff, or I can plug it in using the old 9-pin plugs, which you plug into regular hardware, wireless either way. Faye says, good man, Amiga first. You will notice that I am hardcore Commodore machines, 8 and 16-bit machines. Yes, one of the things I love, I don't have an Amiga, but I do have a Mr. FPGA, and they got one of my cores is one of the Amiga projects. It's pretty slick the way it's set up. It's pretty cool. It doesn't give me a big chance to do much other than play video games on it. I think it's got the workbench and all that stuff, but I haven't dug deep into it because it's like, I want to have a real Commodore 64 first, so I have some comparison. Yes, absolutely, Cab Kipper. My 64 Ultimate it can do the PAL. It's kind of like that as well. FPGA stuff is really hot. I love it. Avian, what's up? What I'm going to try not to do, and remind me if I start doing it. Try not to use too much technical language, especially here in the beginning of kind of looking at a path. I want you guys to take this journey with me, and our first steps may be together, and eventually you might go, have fun on your journey, Brian. But I want you guys to walk me to the edge of the Shire, at least, before I go on this grand adventure. So I'm going to try not to use too many technical terms, too much jargon. All right? We will get there. I want you guys to kind of go with me a little bit. Warforged, I salute you. I always want to make it accessible. Avian says, Brian, stop smart talk, use small words. I mean, let's face it. I mean, if I start talking too much, I even hate the word jargon. Even jargon is jargon. Even jargon to some people is like, what are you talking about? And I want it to be accessible. Discordia says, I'm here for it. See, we have a pretty savvy group. But I don't want that to be a stepping block. I don't want that to be a stumbling block, because in the spirit of basic, Microsoft Basic, in the spirit of all basic, it was always meant to be for the masses, right? It's supposed to be, that's the Commodore slogan, but still, it's supposed to be for the masses. It's supposed to be for everybody. Everybody's supposed to be able to have it. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Also, by the way, I don't know if you know this. This may be one of those stupid tips. You probably use the calculator all the time, right? Everybody pulls up the calculator, whether on Mac, Linux, Windows, whatever. I make use a lot of the programmer calendar. So all of these, if you drop down, of course, you're used to listen. Most of us usually are used to seeing the standard and scientific, as most of us probably use those in school. Maybe some of you got into a little bit of graphing as well, right? But there's programming mode on all these. And that's good because no matter which one you're using, you can quickly see when you're doing like low-level assembly language, you're going to end up needing to do a lot of converting either in your head or through a calculator where you can see your hex values versus your decimal values, your oct, your binary, 2 base, 8 base, 10 base, 16 base. What does that mean? Avian says, Brian teaching me things I did not get to learn. Squirty says, I had no idea. Right, your old Casio cab kipper, the FX 451 had those modes. Very handy. Yeah. Avian says, wait, we're supposed to memorize hexadecimals. You don't have to, but this will come in very handy. And the Windows one is pretty cool because even if you're not sure what mode you're in, if you have access to the alphabet over here, right? So you got your first 10 values, right? 0 through 9, that's your first 10 values. Then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's how you get 16. That's the reason why it's base 16. Avian says, puts hands up. Teacher, please, can I leave? My brain is full. I said I was trying to keep this simple. All right? Accessible for all. Basic. But you can even do this too. I mean, okay, look. Not to get too heavy in the weeds, but you probably all have at least heard of binary off, on, 1, zeros, beep, bop, boop. I'm a computer. I speaks in on-offs. I use electricity to turn numbers into magic. Beep, bop, boop. Right, series of switches, baby. So you even got this down here. Look at your calendar on your Windows machine. It even breaks it down to your sizes. All right, so if you've ever been curious, we're talking about 8-bit computers. Bit, off, on. There's one bit. Clickety click. Look at there. If I click that, it gives me my values up here, right? There we go. If I click this one over here, here's the values. These are off and on switches right here. 4. All right, but you want to get all the way up to 8. That's a byte. This is what we're talking about. 8 bits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8-bit computers. Got your 1 byte. I don't like, I gotta look to see if there's like an offset or something, but I don't necessarily care for how the Windows calculator represents the decimal, though. I think there's you got your bitwises and stuff too. This is really important. If you're doing a lot of programming, this really comes in handy. And it's built-in tools right there. It's right there. It's right there in your Windows, your Mac, your Linux machines. Maybe a little different interface, but don't let it scare you. You ain't got to break out a piece of paper. You ain't got to go find your scientific calculator. It's right here on your PC. I bet it's even on the phone too. Little programmer tip for you. All right. You feel smarter? I just learned yesterday, somebody showed a method, because I was always like 16 base, right? So your hex. And I was trying to figure out, I'm like, oh, well, where do you start? Because I think somebody's asking a starting question now. So where do you start? And it's like, well, 16 to the 0 power. 0 power? Well, I mean, wouldn't that be 0 or something? And it's like, no. I remember that there was a rule that it was supposed to be 1. I'm like, but why? Why does it need to be 1? So you guys know that that's the facts. But why? And I watched a video, and yeah, see, right? You guys learned the same thing I did. Anything to the 0 power is 1. And that's how they told me. Bip. And I said, okay, put that in my little hat. And I'll keep that for later, for the rest of my life. Then the other day I was like, but why? And it's actually pretty neat. It's really simple arithmetic, the way you do it. And I'm like, oh, okay. I would do a terrible job of explaining it, but there's a video. I'll see if I can find it, because the lady who explains it, she just makes it dead simple. I was like, screw you, lady. That was such a simple way to say it. I'll never be able to repeat it, but the way you just said it. Amy says, okay, so I am the derp of the class. No, you're not. Just because three of us knew that and remembered that from, our math classes, you don't have to. Most people don't know that. You can walk up to 100 people, and probably maybe like 5 might know it. Shay says, sir, my notebook is full and my pen has run dry. I must go home. Word says around these parts, we call it a clackulator. It's a clackulator. But there was a real question. But I think when I saw your question, dumb question, David, hexadecimal starts at 0 or 1. Yeah. So it starts at 0. So that's how you go. You go 0, 1, 2. And it only actually goes up when you're counting. You just go 15, but that's actually 16 places, because you start at 0. Right. Right, Aben, yeah. In programming, it's a lot. 0 is usually where everything starts in programming. I don't know if we'll ever get to any. This is definitely not meant to be a math class, because I am not qualified. I am not qualified to teach any math class. Maybe by the time I get through, but not now. The race says, I know 10 languages, English in binary. Take that. You derp away, Avian, derp away. This is what this is for. It's reinforcement, because I know I do a lot of things a specific way, because that's the way I was taught, and then I just never look back and never ask why. And that's part of what this journey is not just keying it in, but knowing it. Is it A or A uppercase? See, there actually is usages where uppercase A and lowercase a do have, but that's something different. But typically it's just all uppercase always. But most interpreters, in the context of hex, trying to think of an exception. I can't think of an exception. I do know that it can be different in some cases, but I can't think of an instance where I've used hex where it was case sensitive. But that doesn't mean there's not a big old giant blind spot that I have. I'm not a mathematician. I use math. I'm not a teacher. I'm here taking a journey. Captain says properly as uppercase as it represents a number. Correct. That's a good way of saying it. But yes, hex code is not necessarily case sensitive. Right. But if you want to write it properly. Right. Like Tolbert says, yeah. But that's a good question. That's a real good question. I always err on the side of caution when I do that, though. I'm a little cautious. I do just uppercase it. Just because that's the way I've always seen it in anything that I've learned. It's always been presented in uppercase, and I'm like, that must be the deal. But I love your asking questions. That's exactly what we're doing here. Ava says, sorry, I will ask these derp questions as my programming knowledge is full of holes like Swiss cheese. And that's fine. That's what I said. You're along with a journey. We're taking a journey. Eventually, hopefully my expertise will increase over the next year. And I'll start filling in the holes to the point that I can speak from a much more solid place of authority, right? Once I've asked the questions and found the right answer, I will have a more authority. Right now, I just have instinct. That's right. Get good, noobs. What's up, Tonda? We doing a little something different tonight. We doing 8-Bit Computer Club. What was your 8-Bit computer of choice, Tonda? I feel like you have told me before. And don't say TurboGrafx. I was even thinking earlier today, like I've been questioning everything. Like I said, I've been trying to tap into my 12-year-old self and dismiss all of the assumptions that I made over the years because, that's how you do it, and ask the questions. Because I feel like we're probably, as we start this journey, are going to ask some of the craziest questions. And I don't want to get bogged down into those crazy questions, but I don't want to dismiss them either. Like, what is computer? Phone is computer. Calculator is computer. But that's not what we mean when we say computer, right? But that's computer. The Tandy 1000 SX. That's what you said. I really want a Tandy. I've seen those. Those are sexy. I want one of those. Maybe it says that lady is computer. Person is computer. Finger is digits. Is 10 base. Now. But yeah, I do want a Tandy 1000. That would be awesome. That's on my list. Sector 7 says, so what was Tandy's? What did they run? Yeah, the Tandys were they just ran basic too, right? They had their own DOS, I believe, as well. Captain says DOS, yeah. But they ran basic, right? So it's disk operating system. When we think of disk operating system, I don't want to get into it. I feel like I'm never going to get out of the Shire if I talk about what a disk operating system is. Right, Avian? You're welcome, Avian. I think one of the biggest things Warp says you could do is go through logic gates, whip out your truth tables, and make some basic programming using nothing but logic gates. And then we can build physical items. Yeah. Right. What DOS is. Disk operating system is what it is. And typically it is primarily for managing hardware not really necessarily a programming interpreter. Typically, that would be the difference. So if you used BASIC back in the day, you may say, oh, well, then I went from using BASIC to using DOS. Now, if you were using a Commodore 64 or a VIC-20 or something of that ilk, you would use BASIC commands that would essentially pass a sort of, DOS-like action to the hardware. But, oh, thank you for saying disk operating system. Oh, you're welcome. Yes, you're welcome. So it's an operating system that runs on a floppy, right? Disk operating system. As a matter of fact, when you used to make floppies, you would write the DOS. If it was a manageable disk, you would put DOS on there, and so when you loaded the disk up, you would go into that DOS. You could actually have different versions of DOS. Bootable DOS. Yeah, IBM clones. Yep. Yeah. So it is kind of it mostly just handles all of the computer peripherals and hardware and stuff. It's a way for you to manage that stuff, accessing files, moving files, deleting, creating, so on and so forth. Then you have like BASIC, which sits typically on top of that, and then it's an interpreter, and it can go kind of a couple of different ways in the context of what we're talking about. Chad is going to hate me and says, Chad's going, no, they're not. No, they're not at all. Is iOS, is the OS part? I'm assuming it's operating system. I'm assuming. I've never looked it up, but I've always just assumed. I could be wrong. Crucigen, what's up? The 286DX. Fancy. I had to learn DOS to play any of the games. Yes, right. Almost formatted the wrong drive. Happens all the time. Oh, Titus says, I'm doing dinner in Dunaway. Fajitas, sorry, but Captain Kipper got it as usual. Oh, I missed what the Captain Kipper said. Yeah. Warforged, I think that's a good complete answer there. So if you're going to get into assembly code, you will want to deeply understand logic gates because it's nothing but logic, memories. Yep. Calculations. Yep. And I know some of that stuff from my other programming that I do, right? I know some of that, and I've also, I've built some things, some physical things, some very simple physical things where I had to understand some of that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start at 8-bit as well. Not only is it a continuation of my journey, it's a good place for people to begin. I don't know if it's a good place. It is, if you want to, it's kind of like, do you want to watch Star Wars in chronological order, or do you want to watch it in release order? Because there's value in both. I think there's a value in learning at 8-bit where we first bring tabulating machines home and start doing things that are more interactive than just looking for calculative output, right? You're wanting to manipulate things and have, prompts and input and output and data tables and things that are useful around the house, like budget applications. That's where it really takes off at. And 8-bit is still small enough, especially at 1 megahertz. All these are like base numbers, processor that runs at 1 megahertz and, and uses, bits and hex and all these low-level numbers that are kind of understandable. And you can even look at the hardware and go, oh, I can look at that processor and look at, 24 or 48 legs on the processor and understand what's actually going on from moment to moment, right? So learning chronologically, that's kind of like the real first step into what we think of as modern computing. So it's a great place to start if you're looking at I'm not here to be a teacher. I don't even know if I'm teaching it right because I'm not a teacher. I'm a journeyman. Right, Sector? Yes, most of us do. Most of us were still using it, right? You guys are having some really good conversations about GTPT as well. That's right. Look at that. Tolbert knows the deal. Once you learn to count in that way, I mean, you'll never forget it. And then you'll understand why they sell components at certain sizes, like 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512. Bip, bip, bip. Amy says, I've got some more. Ooh, look at you using the annotation right there. 2 to the power X. All right. I hope we're not boring anybody. That's what I'm... You know what? If you're bored with such an exciting topic, that's on you. Get more interesting. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. The Wraith. Yeah, we could get into, you know, how things are written out. Oh, my gosh. Bits and pieces, nibbles and bites. Raw nerds here. That's what I was most concerned about this journey. Because if I'm kind of like wanting to talk to my 12-year-old self, and my 12-year-old self would say, shut the up about your nibbles and bits. All right? I don't want to stop using your, I wouldn't have said jargon. I would have said, stop using your highfalutin words. Because that's how I talked. That's why we all float, Tolbert. But yeah, most of us are probably pretty tech savvy here, if I had to guess. Not all of us. It is fine. You don't have to be tech savvy to enjoy the fruits of the mathematicians and the scientists who brought us computers and thinkers and dreamers. Oh my. All right. You're faced. Look at you. You're faced with the blue screen. Back before blue screens were bad, you're sitting down at your Commodore 64 and you're looking at the Commodore 64 book and you're like, well, I want to say, what should I do here? Can I just say, let's see. Am I using positional? Well, this is also the first thing you have to ask yourself when you're doing this. I'm going to finish it first and I'm going to come back to it. All right. So, hello. Print hello. I wanted to just print hello. Hey, look at me. I made the computer do something. I told it to do something and it did it. How badass am I? Oh my gosh. Houdini says is getting big deep into it. He's doing the big Indian. Dude, yeah. A deep cut. Deep cut. Wart4 says, all I want to know is why do we have to stare at the big blue box instead of Dunaway's pretty face? What's with the big blue box? Mary McCheese, what's up? When I need to calm my anxiety, I could from 1 to count from 1 to 80. Yeah. 8192 and repeat as needed. I do that too. Yeah, Hello World is classic, Tolbert. Classic. You gotta do print Hello World, right? You guess what you get, it's what you do. You tell the computer to do something and it doed it. Now, the question is, when you're doing this in Vice, if you have muscle memory, if you have long dormant muscle memory, you may choose of several types of input on your keyboard. If you use symbolic, it just uses whatever your keyboard says. So, right? Whatever your keyboard says, whatever your modern keyboard says is what it does. So if you need to do some quoting, you just go over here and do some quoting, baby. You just do shift and wherever keyboard's using in the world, and you do it like that. That's your symbolic. Or if you're hardcore, guy behind me, if you're hardcore, you can do some positional stuff. And what that means is, now, where's my quote at? Well, it's going to be shift and 2. Just like it used to be back in the ye olden days on the Commodore 64. As you can tell, keyboard layout at that point in time, if you need to do double quotes, there you go. Bam, shift 2. But you got to have some muscle memory if you're going to be doing that, my friends. Houdini says, double hard mode punch cards. Because it's like, wait a minute. On this keyboard, where in the world, if I need to load something, where's my asterisk key? Well, duh, is not actually where it's supposed to be. Actually, it is. Yeah, let's see. So it would be, yep, this would be your restore key, because even though it doesn't say restore, it's the same shape. Is that this is your little up, and then there's, and that's not right. It's that one, actually. All right. Yeah, okay, there you go. Maybe it's not perfect. It's not pretty. It's not perfect. Yeah, we gotta load it, right? Tonda, do you know why you put the 1 at the end? Do you know why you put the 1 at the end? Because let me tell you something. It's not always gonna load it where it's supposed to. Oh, I got a really cool John Carpenter thing today, by the way. Oh, wonder what happened there. Okay. Wonder why it went down to the last one. Yeah, let's go back up to the top of these tracks. I was enjoying those. Tana says, I knew and I forgot so many years ago. Don't worry, I did too. When I first started getting back into my 8-bit computers, I was like, what? Did I learn that at some point in time? It tells you right in the book. You want to put that flag, that one flag in there, so it says, hey, put that back in the same memory location where you found it. It's a good daddy. Says, is that where you got that from? Put that back in the memory location where you saved it from. And that can be important. It really is. So this is Adhesive Wombat's Nightshade, and we've used it for other things. But this is a no copyright 8-bit music. It's the first thing I found on YouTube, right? I know, it feels like it's time for Play Retro, right? It really does. All right. Hey, we printed Hello World, but we don't want to just do that. We want to do it multiple times, right? So we want to print, and I got to remember I'm positional. I got to remember I'm positional here. Let me see if I can do it without screwing up. Also, there's some tricks too. Like, who wants to type print all the way out, right? You don't have to, not according to the book. If you do the second letter as a shift, which gives you those Petsky style graphics, should give you that. Hello. I'm living in a modern world. I'm trying to capitalize that first letter. Make sure we hit enter. And then we want to increment a little bit more. Now, according to Butterfield, if you know what I'm talking about, you're a Commodore. You're a Commodore fan, if you know what I'm talking about. We're going to say go to hello. No, go to 10. By the way, says Captain Kipper, you only need the 1 on loads for machine language. That's right, machine language programs, because otherwise BASIC handles your memory. But yeah, you have to consider, like, if you make machine language and you give it to somebody else, they may have. So yeah, I thought about that. Go to hello, Tonda. But oh really? Captain Kipper says I met Jim Butterfield once. Nice. Hey, you gotta do that. But you know, I mean, let's face it. Today is the day before Valentine's Day, unless you're already in tomorrow, and some of you are. And in that case, we need to give ourselves a heart. That's right, give ourselves a heart. Shift S if you're doing it old school, positionally, so we can get those Petskys in there, right? I hit enter, did a little screen edit, went back up to the line. And the trick is, you see I just typed in that P, and then I used that Petsky character, right? Well, if I do a list of the program in memory, well, looks like I forgot to hit enter on that 20. So let's go back up and hit that. Wink. Another thing, too, Jim Butterfield taught me this on that 2-hour videotape I watched that one time. Boom, there we go. All right, so you see that ready? It's real easy to go when you're keying through. You're like, oh, I changed the thing. You hit enter. You hit enter again. And then you hit enter again. And bam. Oh, no, you hit enter on a ready. That's not a command. Doesn't like that. But if you're careful and you hit that shift enter, BIP doesn't actually put that in. It just says, I'm going to the next line. I'm not putting that in. Mr. Butterfield taught me that. Mr. Butterfield taught me that one. Taught me that one good. All right. Now let's go. Let's spam the screen. Here we go. Let's spam the screen. Oh, no, what? No. What did I do? When did I do that? When did I put the hashtag there? Did you get me wrong? Did you tell me wrong, Butterfield? Hello, world. Oh, no, ads. Short for print is question. Is that right? Question, that's right. I think I do remember that. Hit my run stop. Is that right? Try to remember. I haven't done that in a while. Did Butterfield teach you that as well? There you go. That's right. Yeah, don't want to forget to get to clear. Hey, you hate that program? No problems. How about we knew it? Let's get it out of there. Yep, most basic commands in Commodore Basic allow for shortcuts. It sure does. Tauber says, this is the only time I use the pause break key on the keyboard. That and trying to get out of programs, right? CLR, was that clear the memory? Okay, so does that reset the memory? I'm forgetting what CLR exactly means. I know new like deletes any basic program you have. It's a DOS command to clear the screen. It didn't give me it didn't give me an error. Is it CLS? Is that clear screen? CLS. Clear the variables. Clear the variables. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I knew I knew that command, but I couldn't remember why I did. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I did use the CLS on. I was on the Atari 800 yesterday when I was in DOS. Is that right? I think it is. I can't remember. Or maybe I was just in Windows. Yeah, to clear screen two ways. Yeah, and I also can shift home or whatever it is. That clears it out there as well. Clears the whole screen. All right, excellent. Zelix, what's up? All this is reminding me of all the things I've forgotten. Right? Zelix, if you're just now tuning in. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this. BS Repellent, thank you for the follow 36 minutes ago. I don't know what we were doing. But there you go. And Online Danny also, by the way, going for the world record for most 3-stream streaks. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Facts. I hope to know a little more by the end of the year. Yeah, so you're going to use Phase, it's going to go straight to the character table and just go, oh yeah, well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to pull up the character table. Take that. Look at that screen. All right. Clear the screen. Let's think for a second. All right. I know what I was wanting to talk about next. All right. So you may be asking yourself, hey, Brian, I've loaded up the Vice, right? I've played around. I've farted around. I did the recall on everything that I can remember from my basic days. What now? What now? Well, is it Zimmer's or is it just Zimmer? Oh, I got the Zimmers. Once again, not the first result in 2026, so we will just type in Zimmer in C64, Zimmer's Net. That's what it is. All right, so here we go. A lot of great stuff over on Zimmers.net. You're on your CBM, your Commodore Business Machines. This is the public repository. Welcome to the Commodore 8-bit file area at ftpzimmers.net. And you can also take a look at the list. You'll find here some things Commodore-centric. Yep, got to get the C64 Programmer's Guide, which is also an archive. But we've got your Commodore Business Machines 2 back there. Look at those things. The 128, which I have a functional 128, or at least I did the last time I looked. It needs some 3D prints, or maybe just I'll buy some stuff. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. The insides are fine. The last time I checked, I do need some adapters for the output because there's two different modes. There's 40 column and 80 column mode. And I think I had output for one or the other, but not both. I can't remember. So I gotta look at that. Commodore 64, which is mostly used. The C65, which made me laugh. Jim Butterfield. I don't mean this to be so Commodore 64, but this is my own journey of learning things that you love too. But my experience was with the Commodore 64 and Butterfield. By the way, maybe we'll take a peek at one of his videos. Was talking about the Commodore 64, and he was introducing it. You could tell it's such a great video. It was the VHS rip, and he's introducing you to the Commodore 64. He unboxes it. It's like the most YouTube shit you ever seen, but it's from the 80s. And he does an unboxing of the Commodore 64. He talks about it, and you can tell in the beginning he's really got the script down. He's asked all the right questions. He knows what all the components are. As a matter of fact, the unbox, he opens up the Commodore 64. He points at different things, says, you'll never need to do this, but we just want you to know what's inside so you won't open the damn thing. And, he kind of shows stuff. And he's got it. He's so put together. His shirt's all buttoned up to the top. His hair's all Butterfieldy. And you can tell there's some loose cuts, right? There's some loose cuts, and they're not too hard, but he goes as far as he can describing things that he understands and knows, and he's got like so much stuff in his head, and he kind of just goes through them. There's the cameraman guy there. There's a camera guy there because this is the 80s. You don't just set up your phone, and record yourself. And since it's a transfer for video cassette, they've upped the volume, and so you can hear the cameraman and maybe a producer off screen, yelling stuff at him and everything. And in the beginning is so professional and so bop, bop, bop. And then about 45 minutes in, you could tell there's a cut. And he comes back, shirt's unbuttoned a little bit more. Looks like he's been sweating a little bit, probably under those studio lights. And he's just like, you could tell he's starting to lose it just a little bit. But just watching, I like to do like a quick supercut. I need to go through there and pick out the bits and make a supercut of how he slowly loses his shit. But yeah, it's good. So Jim Butterfield, but I know why I hit my head. See, look, I'm a Butterfield right now, but I'm recording myself. C65. He calls the Commodore 64 a C65 at one point. There was going to be a C65. There's a plan for it, but it didn't come to fruition. Got demo disc, firmware. So yeah, go to Zimmers.net and pick up, like, maybe you want some magazines too, so you can do some type-in stuff because you haven't done that in a while. Look at the +4. I think my dad had the +4. 264 series. Yeah, Captain Kipper. There are some C65s, a few prototypes. Zimmer owns one. Yep. We'll talk about Zimmer proper. Is this Zimmer's baby? This web or Commodore they are. All right. Because I know I've loaded up, and once again, these are archived. A lot of people have archived these as PRGs. They've dumped carts and turn them into PRGs. So I don't know if these are... And then I've had to convert them back to carts, which you can do. There's some tools in Vice where you can convert programs into carts, and it's just easier. Because we can do some tricks here in Vice. We can actually just point to a Windows folder on the host machine, or Mac, Windows, whatever you're on. You can point to a folder on the host machine, and it'll see it as a disk image. And then you can run a program from it. But sometimes you need to have it like a cart, like you plugged it in, because that could be different. What's the first thing you think we need to pick up? Some manuals? Test pilot game docs that came with the C64C test pilot package. I don't know anything about that. Okay, so here we got this is the thing we all had, right? We might as well pick up the manual. Oh, but this is not a PDF. This is like texty text. Oh, and then we had the reference guide. So I think originally when I was a kid, I had the manual, but then I think I picked up the programmer's reference guide at some point in time with the intention of learning. Okay, here we go. Here's the reference guide. Programmer's reference guide, PDF. Got your Spanish. Here's the user manual, second edition. Oh, the UK version. This is probably user's guide versus user's manual. What's the difference? Got a little video with some GOS. We can look at that at some point as well. Prom A. I'm gonna say, let's get the manual. Oh, look at these people. They had the monitor and everything. Not like this poor man who just had to hook it up to his TV. Oh. Let's take a look at the difference between that and the user guide. What is the difference? This is the user guide. This is what I had. This is what I had. With the spirally spirals. They are not readable files because Commodore Basic is tokenized, says Captain Kipper. All right, let's see here. This is what I remember. With this hard plastic cover and this ring binding. And the Commodore 64 floating in space with graphs in the back for father who needs to track his 401k in the 80s. But this isn't the right path. Starting high and working us down way low. No. Cap says I have a box of these books. Oh no, let's see. This okay. Don't worry about it. I need to add a few of you guys for doing links. I will repost that on your behalf, but I think the bot, you have to be here for a certain amount of time phase before it allow you to post links, but I will re-echo that. And there's a great little link there for commodore.bombjack.org. And I think, was that like a rewrite where you could print it? I think somebody had, oh, that's not where I wanted to go at all. Is that the one that was kind of like a rewrite? Like it had some just clean up stuff, and I did look at another one, and that seemed like what it was. Bomb Jack, like it's printable. Any book for 8-bit machines? No! What are you talking about? Did I not do it right? Am I not typing in right? Commodore.bombjack.org. Is there no HTTPS? Is it just HTTP? Oh, it's HTTPS. Did I type it in wrong? Sounds right. Fishstick says, what did you do with the cockroach? Did it live? No, it did not. It was some bad mojo Jojo. What is going on right now? No, it has no HTTPS. Okay. Interesting. So, no security certificate. Spot on, my old school friend. We'll take the risk. Oh, look at that. It's trying to redirect me to HTTPS, whether I like it or not. All right, we'll have to come back to that. Mark Bauer Meister, what is up? Can't wait to finally finish my adventure game for Commodore 64 and other home computers. Are you making a game? Very good. That's kind of where... that's kind of where I think a couple of us are kind of headed towards. I am trying to pick back up from my 12-year-old self and try to understand what I was reading back in those days, and trying to, in the 80s, and trying to finish my dream of creating a Commodore 64 game that I was just incapable of understanding at the time. Yeah, I'll take a look at it. I know there was one that's great. All 8-bit computers, that's amazing. Because I did, man, I'm telling you, no lack of resources online for the Commodore 64, the best-selling computer of all time. Whatever. I'm having a really hard time finding good Atari resources. Like, Atari Age is great. It's a great place for discussions, but material-wise, I'm having a hard time finding material. Now, if you want to go to Atari Age and talk to one of the best communities out there who also do more than just Atari stuff, that's a great place to be. But finding content for the Atari, that's been a bigger ask, especially like the books and stuff. Man. And please, don't even think about asking ChatGPT some tech question about your Atari 800, because it'll send you down all kinds of hallucinations. Zono gonna be stay up with us. We're gonna stay up all night. Captain Kipper says, program your Kung Fu Flash to be a super snapshot cart. It has the machine language monitor and sprite editor grabber built in too. So I have a Kung Fu Flash, which I believe is supposed to work with our Commodore 64 Ultimate. Face says, trust me, that website will surprise you on Atari. That's great. That's good. I bookmarked it. I bookmarked it on my other machine, and I'm going to go there later. I'm going to fire up my Raspberry Pi and go look at it. I was kidding. But, yeah, that's good. That's good. Because like I said, Google, they ain't finding much for what I was looking for. I mean, I was having to go like 2 and 3 pages deep just to even find just the slightest little touch of stuff. An archive, that wasn't a great place to find, like other 8-bit computer stuff. But even for Commodore 64, that's easy. Antic Magazine should be on archive. Ooh, that's good. Yeah, with 2 eyes. Yeah, was the Atari magazine. I didn't know that. Okay, interesting. Fishstick says, can't stay up all night. It's a. Was that your go-to magazine for Atari, Cam Kipper? All right. So this is the book, man. What kind of great advice would they give you if you picked up your Commodore 64? Well, you turn on your Commodore 64 to be faced with that blue screen like we talked about before. You're just sitting there. You just plugged in your Commodore 64 and you're like, what is this? What is this? I don't even know. Be looking at this right here. Wait, first thing we all thought. The first thing we all thought we turned our Commodore 64 when we got it for whatever. I think I got mine for my birthday. My dad, when he moved to the Commodore 128, he gave me his 64, which is the same thing he did when he moved to the Commodore 64. He gave me his Commodore VIC-20. You'd just fire up your Commodore 64, you'd see 64K of RAM, you're like, this is a Commodore 64, it's got 64, wait a minute, 38911 basic bytes free. I've been robbed. First thing I did was make the text white, says Capkeeper. Yeah, that's what we do. So then you would go like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So you'd head over to your, first I closed that. I don't want that opened up. Head over to your manual, right? And you take a look. It was like, setup. Already did that. What am I, goober? I plugged in the round thing to the round hole. Then I flipped the little switchy thing. And then the other thing I plugged into the thing that it fit in. And I plugged that into the back of the TV. Unpacking. Get out of my face. So then, yeah, I think I probably did start poking around on the keyboard. Was probably actually the first thing I did. The first thing first thing I did probably was to go, oh, you can make little shapes and stuff on the keyboard, right? Oh, it's like, what do these little things do? And you type in some keys. You're like, well, how do I make that heart thing come up? And you start pressing some keys. And you go, oh, wait, look at this. It's making shapes. I can make shapes. What do these keys up here say? They say, this one says white. No, wrong one. This one says black. That one says white. Wait, what does that one say? Red, cyan, purple, something, magenta, yellow. And you just kind of like go, oh, I could do this. Oh, look at me. Look at me. I got 16 cursor colors. Because 8 and 8 is 16, right? Burp, 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 burp. Then you had to hit the books. You had to hit the books, baby. Wait, it is turtles all the way down? Turtles all the way down. I didn't read none of this. I skipped straight through this crap. I think I did take a note and went, wait, that looks like my Atari connection. It looks like my Atari controllers. Can I put my Atari controllers there? The answer is yes. I had a cassette interface. Oh, by the way, my VIC-20. I gotta take a look. I have several tape drives for my VIC-20. Cassette drives. And for some reason, the cassette interface on the VIC-20 is not functional. So I think there is a chip right behind there. Is the TIA? Is that right? I think it may be having trouble because everything else seems to work, but not that. I haven't tried any other. I haven't tried anything else on it. The only thing I've tested is the cart and the actual fitness of the keyboard. If you took your Commodore 64 to the living room at Grandma's house and you plugged into the giant wood console TV, what's wrong with you? Captain says Jim Butterfield wrote a great book on the C64 called Machine Language for the Commodore Revised and Expanded Edition. I think I have peeked at that book. Avon says just looking at the table of contents, it's organized the same for pretty much all the other programming manuals. I should not be surprised. It's also on archive. Very good. Look at all these. Somebody quick, pop out your 75 ohm adapter. Got to run to Radio Shack. I got no forks back there. Can't just fork in on the back of your TV. You would fork it on this thing. That's the reason why that TV looks like that, probably. Computer, TV. See, I already knew this because I already seen Atari. I'd already seen an Atari 2600. I already knew how to do all this stuff. That was already old school by this point. Not a single fork was given that day. Look at this setup. Look at this. Look at this setup. Look at it. What? Are you kidding me? I can go connect my Commodore 64 to Dad's hi-fi system? Are you kidding me? What? Look at that. Did anybody do this? I never did this. What, am I crazy? Yeah, I think, Captain Kipper, I think that was most of us. I always use a TV. I didn't have a proper monitor. I wanted a proper monitor, but I didn't have one. Warforce says, yeah, if you want to die, do you want to die? That's how you die. Davian says that's activating the memories of working the wires due to poor connections. That's the truth. Yeah, RF connections. Let me move around a little bit. Why is it so good when I'm holding it? Then when I let go, when I move away, now it's got lines again. What's going on right now? But yeah, I don't know anyone who did this. The Ray says it wasn't even stereo. Mr. Bean with a C64. I love that. Yeah, Mayor Cheese, you gotta die with your boots on. I want to do this now. Now I want to go out, find some nasty old, Hi-fi system. Look underneath that hi-fi system. They got places for records, even though they don't have any records down there. Got your turntable on top. Flip that up. Dad's trying to listening to his favorite albums, and you're back here farting around, looking for augs. Looking for aux. Where's the aux? Tuner input. All right. Aux in, baby. I'm auxing in. Oh, yeah. I had the Okadata printer. I eventually got the data cassette. Oh, look at this. I've never seen. Okay, so I've never seen in real life, but I've seen pictures of the CX50 clone that they released early, and then they got like threats, and so they had to like make a different controller. But I didn't know they had a paddle that was similar. I knew about this. I knew about the joystick. I didn't know about the paddle. That looks sexy. Avian wants to know, Brian, are you collecting vinyl as well? Of course I am. Why would I not collect vinyl? Of course I'm collecting vinyl. Trying to see if I have. Right now it's behind some stuff. But yeah, I've got a reasonable collection of vinyl. Gavin says I have Atari paddles. I have several Atari paddles, but I don't have any of these cool Commodore whitish with matches the data cassette thing. Brian, you grew up in the South. You knew about the paddle. I didn't know about the Commodore branded paddle. Paddle. I knew a lot about the paddle with the holes in it. So you get maximum. Well, I like that. Look at that. But I had the Okadata. Did you guys have a dot matrix printer? I had the Okadata. Yeah, minimum air resistance. Tolbert knows the deal. Probably even knew about the Switch before Nintendo, says Warforge. I knew well about the Switch. You had to go retrieve your own Switches. Go get your Switch. Oh, what do you mean? Rude. Making you get your own Switch. Now, Captain Kipper, you had the Commodore MPS 801. That's great because GEOS has drivers built in for that. You get the ping pong. Oh my gosh. Whoo boy. Yeah, them ping pong paddles are rough. Now, did that have the rubbery on, or is this like straight wood? All right, here we go. Look here. Look, I finally got into some interesting stuff. I think where I originally got this book, first of all, I'll probably skip right past this. I'm like, come on, I'm not going to go hi-fi. Come on. But my TV did kind of look something like that. I was probably drooling over this stuff, right? Well, I'm like, what is that? What is this thing? It's a VIC modem. What is that for? I don't even know what that is. I'll have to go watch War Games or something. Yeah, you wanted the straight wood, says Warforge. The rubber hurt more. Yeah, it'll peel off, right? Mayor me cheese. Rubber. Oh, I love this song. This is great. All right, so use your Commodore 64. I think it's where I finally got excited. Yeah, Captain Kipper VIC modem was 300 baud. Look out. How bawdy. Your TV had some manual fine-tuning knob, and it did. Do you guys remember how to do your manual fine-tuning? All the ones I had were push-turn, have a knob, push-turn, push-turn. Try to dial in that, because channel 3, it didn't have nothing, right? So you got to tune in a little bit. Maybe your tuner wasn't quite right. You push it in, turn a little bit. Peak. Tolbert says 1 baud equals 1 bit per second. Hope you weren't in a hurry. What's the rate of the cassette, I wonder, compared to the VIC modem? Wonder what the transfer rate in comparison. Some troubleshooting. Yeah, so the color adjust was probably the first thing I did. Okay, the keys mark control. This stands for control. And then you got your reverse for number 9 key, right? Nothing obvious has happened, but if you touch any new one, yep, so it'll let you type in reverse. So if you didn't know that, hit your controls and you type up through the different colored codes all the way up to 8 and you get to 9. Nothing happens, but that's okay because now your code is in reverse. Then you hit Control 0 to undo it. Because I believe it keeps, there's a memory location that keeps, let's see, there's the border color, there's the background color. I think both of those, can the border and the background both use all 16 colors? I know the cursor can. I'm trying to remember. Like a loading screens a lot of times would cycle through the colors, let you know that something was happening. Capkeeper says, okay. Oh, tape is 50 bytes per second. Nice. Nice. But tapes load twice. Ah, that's right. That's something I learned recently, too, and have questions about. We have error corrections in a lot of things in our modern lives, especially when we're dealing with CDs, right? We probably appreciate the fact that we could scratch a CD and it would still play. But what if there was data there? That's okay. There's a lot of error correction. Probably can handle it till you get to a certain point. But tapes load twice, one to verify. Didn't they also save twice as well to compare? I'm trying to remember. Or was it comparing in memory to tape? I can't remember. No error correction natively. Yeah, poke that color. Let's poke the color. FaZe says you got to poke the color. You may remember this number, probably ingrained into your head, 53280. And we're going to poke our color number, whatever we want to do. We got yellow currently up, which I believe is 8. So let's make it blue. So we're going to hit number 7 on there. We're going to poke and we're going to peek and poke. Peek and poke. Now it's all yellow. Oh, okay. Oh, because it's the 8th. Because we're starting at 0. So it's the 8th number. Gotta poke it. You want to poke the background too at 53281. That's right, Houdini 7, 0 through 7. I think this is a very pleasing color to my eyes. It feels like I'm awake. It also feels like I'm on the surface of the sun. And I kind of like it. It makes me feel alive. Houdini 7 says real developers start with 0. That's right. 6 is because you would offset 1. Keyboard says one thing, offset by -1. Capkeeper says tape files are 2 copies of data. They load, then the second copy is used to make sure the first copy was correct. Was correct. If you don't know the joy of loading data from a cassette, look at you. Nice little screenshots here for you to enjoy back in the day on this glossy paper. Watch the display. Yep, kind of just walking through some stuff. I think I probably skipped through this. I'm like, yeah, that's interesting. Next. Back to normal. I love that. Loading and saving programs, print and calculations, and precedence. Combining things. Here's your keyboard. That looks more like a VIC-20 than a Commodore 64. A little bit light for my taste. The race says the yellow border hurts my eyes. But you ain't going to fall asleep, are you? You ain't going to fall asleep with that yellow on the screen. No, sir. Oh, yeah, Cap Kipper. Yeah, you get the schematics in the programmer's guide. Even though Butterfield tells you, don't open it, then I'm like, then don't only put 3 screws in the front and let me open it so easily with just the keyboard to pull off. Come on. D7 said my TRS-80 had both colors. Did you have the TRS color computer? The Coco. All kind of little discussion about our run stop. Got your Commodore key. I think this is the first time I You have Model 1? Very good. So is mine the Model 2 then? Mine's the color computer. I thought mine was TRS-80 color computer Model 1. Is that not how it's listed? I didn't have a Coco growing up. I have one now, though. Yeah, I had black and white. Loading and saving the programs. Man, Commodore spared no expense. Look at this. Not only did they print in black and white, they also had color. I think it's color too, this picture, right? Unsure. The first C64 had VIC-20 case and keys. Ah, I think I do remember that. I think I have seen some of that. Back to normal. Back to light blue. Yeah, so if you're ever trying to get back to... If you ever can't remember, it's like, oh, I've made a mistake. I've made a huge mistake. I've peeked and poked myself right out of... What is it? Blue? Which would be 6. Take us back to... That's not the right blue. Oh, no! I actually like that. I used to do that a lot. It's one of the things I would usually do right away. I didn't like the border. It made me feel icky. So I always got rid of it. The Atari didn't have like a border, did it? At least not the 800 that I have. Graph what is going on? We had Model 3, Coco 2, and then went to a Tandy 1000. Scott Adams Adventure Games on the TRS-80. Scott Adams Adventure Games everywhere. I found a really good Pac-Man clone. I'm trying to remember what it's called. I loaded it up on the Atari 800. I didn't finish the story. So on the Atari 800, I was having keyboard input problems. I went and looked online, and it said it could be a Poke chip problem. That's one of the chips that handles the keyboard input as well as some graphics and audio stuff. And I confirmed that when I hit some keys on the keyboard that did not go through the Poke chip, which was, I think, break and the function keys down on the right-hand side. And those all function properly. So I read and was told that you could bake the chips. And I've heard that before. So I had read that several people had found that heating your oven up to bake at 300 degrees Fahrenheit and then putting the chip in there for about 30 minutes would reflow the chip, because if you've seen inside of those chips, so a lot of the chips from the 8-bit era and beyond, and before, surrounded by either silicone, plastic, high temp plastic. But anyway, there's just circuitry inside those chips. If you might have seen them before, and like, oh, there's just a big flat blob. Look at that, it's got little pins on it. It's just flat as can be. But inside is circuitry, and that silicone protects it and distributes the heat and everything. Whatever. Anyway, point is, inside you could get oxidation. Cap Kipper, Adrian Black. Yes. So I love Adrian's YouTube channel. I watch it all the time. And I've seen him bake chips. I think he was mostly doing memory chips. And from everything that I've seen, not only from Adrian's Basement, which is a great YouTube channel, please subscribe. I don't know Adrian, but I know Adrian because I've watched him for several years now. Love all of his, learned so freaking much about the hardware side, especially about 8-bit computers. But yeah, my understanding is just a general consensus. I think somewhere between 30, maybe 50% at tops success rate. So, it's not zero. But even if you do, there's already damage for whatever reason. Whatever has been able to get to the circuitry inside, that oxidation is going to return. The baking of it may reflow it temporarily so that, you know, it has the abilities to function normally. But it's just like tying up a muffler on your car that's fallen off. You're going to have to weld that thing back because it's going to have to be fixed. You're just doing it temporary. So I was able to put the Poke Chip in, and I was one of the fortunate people that was able to put the Poke Chip in, bake it at 300 for 30 minutes, put it in the machine, worked. So super excited. I'll probably need a long-term solution. There's some modern solutions, replacement chips for the Poke Chip. It's probably what I'll do in the end. Yeah, Captain Kipper, they were never designed for 40 plus years. So that's the thing. We were over-engineering a lot of stuff in the 8-bit era because we, you know, you want to cost save, but you also want to make sure that this technology at least lasts for X number of years. And so maybe you over-engineer a little bit and hope for the best. But they certainly weren't designed to go this long. The fact that they did, though, it's good news. The fact that Fastidious, who sent me that Atari 800, and it stayed out in the garage, from my understanding, stayed out in the garage for a while. In Florida, I believe. Is that right? And, you know, was in a box, but it was in a box. Not a good box either, like a cardboard box. And it still functioned for the most part, other than the Poke Chip. In Florida, right? In Florida. Florida computer? It's a Florida computer? So, isn't that right, Fastidious? I think so. But they're tanks, man. Like you said, they're tanks, and that thing is heavy. It's got some metal inside. Metal, like a big block of metal, too. Right in the center of it. Anyway, what was my point? Oh, the point was this. Also had stored with those floppy disk. I think the drive, even though it was an 800, I think the floppy drive was from later years, like maybe 85 to 87 or something like that. So they had a lot of floppy disk, 5 1/4 floppy disk, and those were stored with the computer as well. And surprisingly, a large amount of them still functions. Also had a bunch of cassettes with it, and a cassette drive, and some of the smaller programs were able to load up. I'm assuming probably the belt in the drive is probably, you know, not the best, and so it fails on longer loads. So I'm assuming that that's probably the problem. I've ordered some belts from a place out of Jersey for both some cassette drives I already have for the Commodore, but for that for the Atari as well. 1050 as an XL drive stores more, says Captain Kipper. Yeah, I think that was the floppy that I had. Yeah. Huge aluminum casting for the RF Shield is so crazy. Like I said, so over-engineered. That big old aluminum casting, man. If you've never had a chance to take part like an Atari 800, I think the 400 the same way, but those things, like, God, that's a chunk. What'd you think the first time you saw an 8-inch floppy? Dude. Yeah, see, I didn't have 8-inch floppies growing up, so that wasn't something I had usual access to. 5 1/4 was where I was at for the most part. But yeah, when I seen my first 8-inch floppy, I was like, what is this? But I felt the same way the first time I saw a laser disc. It's like, what is this? Gavin says, you need a happy module or US doubler to make the 1050 or 810 double density. I'll have to look into that. War games use 8-inch floppies, yeah. And once you get to, like, they're named floppies for a reason, because, you know, they are floppy, they're a little floppy. And the larger you get, the more floppy they seem, right? So at 8-inch, man, that's huge. I still love 3 1/4 though. It's a 3 1/4, 3 1/2, 3 1/2, 3 1/2, 5 1/4, 3 1/2, 3 1/2 floppies, with the hard shell cases and stuff. I love those. Those are still one of my favorites. I love playing with the little spring. Captain Kipper says, because old drives were hard, of course. Shay says, were we still talking about computer storage, Media Warforged? Yes! Avian says, hit the space to save. What is the disc? Side eye of the word. What is? Warforce says I was big on SideQuest. Is that how you say it? Drives because my dad worked there. Oh, interesting. Is it SideQuest? Interesting. Graptark says I was just remembering the stickers you used to write protect. Yeah, your 5.25 disc. Yeah, the stickers. That's right, because you would just a little sticker. Whoop. We're having to notch your own. Ugh. God, nothing worse than ordering some floppies and then having to notch them. Are you kidding me? Why did I spend more money? Graptark says, I just used the hole punch. Sometimes I ate into the disc, but whatever. Phase, man, it was so good to meet you and to talk to you. I'm glad I followed you. Had a great time. It's after 1:30 a.m. there. Good. Get some sleep. Absolutely. Have a lovely stream. Look forward to next time you stream. Good night, Phase. Thanks for all the good information. Warp says, oh, look up the SideQuest. It was amazing. Basically, the platter from a hard drive in a plastic case that you put into a reader, right? Interesting. I will have to look those up. I don't know anything about those. SideQuests were 44 megabytes. Interesting. Yeah, nothing was, like I said. I'm still scarred. I'm still scarred from having to put my own notches in my own floppies. Oh, guy, yeah, I love that. Was that the same people? So iOmega had the Jazz drives. Yeah, now I remember the iOmega stuff. Was that was a SideQuest like a competitor or something? Am I saying that right? Is it SideQuest? S-Y Quest? I had plenty of zip drives. I did eventually get a Jazz drive, but I'll be honest, I never really used it. I used the crap out of some zip drives though. And my zips and stuff. Use those things all the time. Chase says, still got an old scuzzy Jazz drive around here somewhere. Like I said, by the time I got to Jazz, it was just like, there were so many other storage solutions that it was interesting, but it wasn't like the zip drive. The zip drive just made sense. It was just the right size to fill an area of need. Captain says, I bought my techs all zip drives for working in schools back late 90s. Yep. It's convenient format. Ah. Dadgummit. Now, I know Warforge has been here forever, so let Warp do the warp. Let Warp do the warping already. I don't think I don't remember these. I will have to. So are those real platters inside? That is interesting. All right. Interesting. Take a look real quick. Wiki. SideQuest. The Easy 135 drive. You say your dad worked there? Is that what you said, Graptark? That's right. Took a few years off before actually going to college. That's right, baby. That's what you did back in the day. Yeah, it's like real. Yeah, the SideQuest word? Okay. I don't remember these. I don't remember these. I don't even remember that logo. Interesting. Any problem, please contact Audi. Somebody quick, contact Audi. Hey, Audi. This thing is not working. I stuck it in. It's not working. I can't use my postcard set. Audi, you listening to me? Audi, are you there? Apply only one SideQuest approved label. To protect cartridge, always store in case. Do not use two or, God forbid, an unapproved label. Just say no. At that time, the 40 megabytes was the go-to, right? I mean, that was like at one point in time, that was the number. HyperCard. I never really used the HyperCard. I think Ibit used a lot. He talks about that a lot, but I never used the HyperCard. Right, so we've been doing a lot of down memory lane, and we've kind of set up what we're thinking about doing. You guys kind of understand where I'm headed to now. We got to meet some great new people, and I'm happy to see so many of you guys are into 8-bit computers. I wasn't sure how this would resonate with everybody. But the next step is going to be for us to make a real plan. Get a workflow going, and set some deadlines for ourselves. And once again, I hope I didn't tech talk our way out of any participation. That is crazy in 1982. That is, yeah. Pseudocoding out your program before you try coding it. Okay, yeah. Absolutely. We'll oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not gonna just. Now I may do some small things to like reinforce my understanding. So I'll probably like jump on the real hardware, and just, you know, program a few things to see what the results are. Just little bits of code, you know. And eventually GraphTalk. So we're probably going to start out. The goal is to create a game written in assembly for 8-bit Commodore 64, right? I think that's where I'm going. So far, that seems to be the way I'm leaning. I got to make sure that. So then we got to set our. I don't want to set our limitations. I want to go in ignorant and go. I want the game to do this, this, and this, and then slowly wake up to the reality of I can't. Oh, so how about making a Lemonade clone? That's interesting. Yep. We're gonna assemble her, GraphTalk. We may write a few little basic programs as well. Maybe I'll write some tools for what we're gonna do in BASIC. That's gonna be the thing too. I'm gonna try to use as many pre-made tools as I can, but maybe we'll make a few little tools just for funsies. All right, I'm still forming my ideas here. Amy says, I want to see Brian's concept art, or is this going to be a text-based adventure? No, it's definitely going to be graphics. And I am going to do some concept art. And I'm going to use, I purchased a book last year, and I'm going to see if I'm actually going to use it. And it is a book just for the Commodore 64 for laying out sprites, right? It's just grids. Color them in, color in your little boxes, make some shapes. We'll probably draw some stuff out first, see how we want to do it. And I have a tablet. I have several tablets for interfacing, but I don't know if I'll use those or not. Because they're not great. They're not great. We may fart around with them a little bit to see the limitations and how we may or may not would use them in our workflow. Just for fun. But the goal is by the end of the year to have a prototype of some sort of game with basic functionality. And I don't know exactly what game I want to do yet. But we'll see. Mainly like yesterday I was just trying to run through things in my head, and I'm like, I kind of got on the VIC-20 where we can load the character sets and manipulate them. And I was kind of thinking of maybe like a real simple Pac-Man game. I was trying to, because I felt like I could just almost pseudo write in my head, right? Kind of go through the steps of what I would do to help, to make that happen. And so I kind of just did a little exercise in my head, like last night as I'm falling asleep, going, okay, I'll do that. Whatever. What I know right now, what tools would I use? How would I approach this? How would I put it together? And literally, when I say Pac-Man, I don't mean like a full Pac-Man maze. I'm talking about like if I wanted to, create a straight line and then maybe go down and come back with some walls and maybe one ghost chasing you, and just kind of do like a Talladega lap or something and then tallying the score, like really simple. Something like Snake. Yeah, not far from Snake, but not growing nothing behind me, right? Maya Cat, what up? Oh, yeah, let's do it. Maya Cat says, who is this guy? I'm new here. Let's remaster Sega Lion King, one of the most hardest games ever. Maya Cat says, my flex is I beat Sega Lion King years ago. On its release, I was level 13 or so. I'm so cool. I can't argue with that. Welcome in. Oh, how's it going? Maya Cat, nothing wrong with that. We were just sitting down talking about picking up my journey from when I was, 11 or 12 and programming in games from magazines and not knowing what I was doing, just doing as I was told, and then being amazed by what I saw and always wanting to program a game on my Commodore 64, and but having no skills or understanding to do it. And as I grew up, I did become a programmer and coder and do things, but I wasn't doing it in assembly or basic. So I still don't know. And so I thought, hey, you know what? I'm in a place that I could learn and understand what all that was. I'm mature enough now to understand it. I probably could understand it then too, but I just, come on. The maturity wasn't there. The dedication to do it. Now I'm old and have dedication. Arthur Fortune says, wow, look at these sweet graphics. What? Is that a blue screen? Kappa says, I didn't do enough assembly. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. Still putting it all together. Having you guys here talking it out is really what I needed, because I don't have an 8-bit computer club near me, or at least if I do, they've never invited me. They've never told me they exist. They've never invited me, and they're getting together on Friday nights and playing 8-bit games and laughing at me. No, I don't know. Maya says, I am under the assumption that coding graphing was just random for anyone taking the time to try to do it. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably the biggest problem for a 12 or 13-year-old. Probably is the dedication. Like, I probably had the abilities to learn it. I don't know. There's a lot in it. I mean, you could look up the memory maps and stuff on there, but really doing advanced, mathematics and stuff really helped a lot. And understanding, like, formulas and functions and that kind of stuff. Yeah, came a long way. Maya says 8-bit computer clubs are a thing now. Should be, baby. We were also talking about that earlier. It's kind of like, I made it like a Star Wars analogy. I'm like, hey, do you want to watch Star Wars chronologically? Or do you want to watch them release date wise? And it's like, you could do either one, but wouldn't it be nice to kind of learn chronologically, right? To kind of go, no, release. I don't, now it's falling apart. Let's see. Mike is, Jesus, I'm old. Yeah, aren't we all? I took, Arthur Fortune says, I took one whole assembly class in college over 30 years ago. Not fun. I find it fun. I know, right? I don't know why. I find learning it fun now. Maya says, I have no idea. Chronological Star Wars. I was not allowed to watch Star Wars growing up in the 80s. No! What a bunch of hooey. How come? If you don't mind me asking. I understand why, but I mean, I wasn't allowed to play Dungeons and Dragons. I didn't know not allowed to watch Star Wars was a thing. But I guess it probably was for some people, because that's how it is. So one of the things we talked about too, if you're just now tuning in, don't forget, if you're messing around, want to do a journey along the same way, almost every modern computer comes with calculator, and you're probably used to loading up the standard, maybe even occasionally the scientific. And if you're really a weirdo, maybe want to do some graphing. But don't forget, you can also use the programmer calculator, which will help you convert all of those binaries, your 8 base, your 10 base, your decimals, your hex base, your 16 base. Also, usually they'll break down all the way down to the bits and the bytes. Got 8 bits, you got a byte. Religion, Catholic. I could see that. There were religious overtones in absolutely in Star Wars. That's what I kind of assumed, but yeah, I just want to hear it. Ava says I was kidnapped by my dad's doctorate student to watch it multiple times. Work says I was raised Catholic and we were in the line opening day. Yeah, there's different places. It was devil talk with sci-fi. It was weird. I got you, my cat. Hey man, I get it. Yeah. Raptark says, oh no, I don't think KCalc can do that. I think KCalc can do it on Linux. I know GCalc will. Right? Is that right? The GTK3 or whatever it is. The new calc. I think KCalc will do it. I think just about every calculator I have seen will do it. You just gotta look. I bet you KCalc does it. Amy says, I am now 53. Me and you too, Warforged, that'd be a great guess. If you know I live in South Carolina, it's a good chance. It's a good chance you can toss a rock and hit a Southern Baptist. I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying there's that many. Avian says it certainly was a kid's film, hence why my brother and I were kidnapped to give an air of respectability, says Avian. Maya Cat says it is what it is, but to this day I have never seen a single Star Wars. Well, that's fine. I do occasionally come across other people who have never seen Star Wars and they lived during that time. It's fine. It's fine. There were several things that I wasn't allowed to watch. Okay, so it looks like a numeral system mode is what it's called. Okay, yeah. Like I said, every operating system that I've seen, I run some Linux machines, Mac machines, Windows machines. I think even my iOS. I think even my phone. If I remember correctly, I'm not sure about Android. I do not have an Android, but I think. Let me see. I think even my iOS, maybe not. It does let me do some conversions. I think I've used it before. Is it just bundled into the scientific calculator? Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I downloaded one I'm thinking of. Yeah, it might have just been. Yeah, I must have just downloaded one. So I guess not. I guess there you go. So there. Suck it, iOS. Stupid calculator. But even you can quickly. Let's see. Since we're in our byte mode, our hexes would just be 2, right? So we could go. Let's just say 11. And there's your binary values, right? Your decimal values. There you go. Beep boop, beep boop. I don't know that decimal. It's kind of odd how they handle the decimals sometimes. Yeah, we got negative numbers and stuff. I'm not sure exactly if there's an offset. How it's supposed to be handled. That's not how I would typically do it. Maybe it makes sense in some kind of other way. You can tell, see the little hex numbers and stuff. We're gonna get into assembly. We're probably using those a lot. Suck it is a lost phrase, says Maya. You're not wrong. Suck it. Hey, look, I think this has been a pretty good, the local 8-Bit Computer Club. I call it local because I'm local to you wherever you are in the world. We're all sitting in our living rooms or riding on the train or all focused in, right? Got our headphones on, maybe. Maybe you're blasting me on the TV. I don't know. It's all local to you. Wherever you're at, it's local. There you are. Here I am. But I had a good time. So we'll be doing more of this throughout the year, probably once a week at least. Of course, I always play retro video games for the Play Retro Show. So if you're into that, tune in again on, I think we're doing it Sunday this week. Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be doing some more. I'll be doing our next full motion February video game, which will be Return to Zork. So if you're into that, come on in. Wisconsin here, says Maya Ket, in my gaming room, waiting on DoorDash so I can have a movie night with my dog and cat. Ooh, that is good. I like that idea. What'd you get? If you don't mind us asking for some DoorDash, get some pizza? Did you get some, what'd you get? Shank, I am wrapping up. I heard the family just come in, and so I'm going to spend some time with them before they run out the door. Warp says, the other day on Core, Scott Johnson said, each. He did. He's been saying that. He's that's his new phrase. Arby's, says by a cat. I haven't Arby's in forever. Man, I used to love the Arby's 5 for 5 and the Jamocha shake. Yeah, the little horsey sauce in there. Sounds like a bad idea. Horsey sauce and Jamaica shakes, man. I know, Shankbuster. Come back at 6:30 on Sunday night. We'll be doing some more streaming, and then we're doing it. Oh my God, we got a full schedule. Let's see, Sunday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Then we'll be doing full motion Return to Zork. We'll be doing it again on Monday at 6:30 again. And then Tuesday we'll be doing Watch Retro, where me and Scott are trying something new. We're watching some old cartoons and commenting on those. Then we do the Play Retro Show on Wednesday night at 6 p.m. So we got a lot coming up. Peppy Kitten Trout says, awesome, super great start. Thanks to the great 8-Bit Club. That's right. We'll be doing more of this each week until we get it done. So we're going to be doing... Oh, absolutely. So it was good a meeting. It was a good meeting. Anybody got anything to add to the notes? How about a little poke? A little poke? A little peek and poke. Maybe we should call it the Peek and Poke Show. I don't know if I want to call it the Peek and Poke Show. We'll see. Welcome to the Peek and Poke Show. I feel like somebody already has that. I feel like that's probably already a thing. Let me take a look. The Peek and Poke Show. I don't like it. Just on principle. No one has it. I do see branded games for marketing. I do see somebody has a Peek and Poke Games. I don't see anybody doing any streaming and developing, though. All right. That's against terms of service. Anybody's work want to sponsor next week's pizza? That sounds good. Let's do it. Yeah, Peek and Poke is actually a PG. Yes. Avian, thank you so much. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. It's been a blast. Let's do it again. Let's do it often. And we'll have a better plan next time. So this was just kind of like an expedition into how we're getting out of the Shire before we really go on our adventure. Let's see here. We got a couple of people we love out there doing some streaming tonight. Do we want to raid in on let's see. So I see that Joey is still online playing some Fallout 3 first time playthrough. Let's make sure she's not leaving though, because sometimes she cuts out about the same time I do. She's petting cat. Let me ask her real quick if she's getting ready to cut out.
Fell face first into a floor, busted all my front teeth.
Oh my gosh, she's telling an amazing story.
But it was laugh. Blood all over the place. Had to go to the ER, have my ear stitch back on.
Oh my God. She's playing some Fallout 3 though.
That's why my front teeth are veneers.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
Tornado says in overtime. All right. So she's just hanging out right now.
Redone because the dentist didn't do a good job of.
Oh.
Right. Yeah.
But but either way, follow that girl Joey. I'm gonna give her a shout out. Regardless, we may rate in on Atari Beer Pong. I think he is.
You're just the cutest little crick I ever see.
I think.
Yeah.
But do give that girl Joey a follow. She does great Commodore 64 and Amiga Mondays, and she's just great.
But I want kisses.
Let's see.
Nice. She knows there's an audience, right?
And she's playing with her cat right now, I believe. Is that girl Joey? I think it's just that, right?
Oh, hi, Brian. Oh man, I'm getting ready to. Yeah. I mean, well, I was getting ready to sign off here. I was just gonna finish up talking to these family guys. It's Family Guy. Yeah. But poop. But yeah. But Cricket decided.
All right, there we go. All right, we're gonna rate it in on Atari Beer Pong.
Cricket has decided I can't do anything. Huh? Can I kiss?
Let's do that.
Mwah, I gotcha.
She's got the cat. There we go. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was trying to rate Atari Beer Pong. I got sidetracked. What, me? Who, me? Who? Me? I don't think so. Let's see here. Or Game Tracks is also on. What do you think? What do you think? Doesn't matter. They're both got about the same amount of people. They've both been streaming for. Ooh, yeah. I don't know. Game Track's been streaming for about 3 hours, so he might be getting ready to cut out. So Atari's only been on for like about an hour, so that's what we will do. Also looks like he's playing some adventure games. RNG Fridays. Oh, it's a DOS, Atari, Sega, Nintendo request night. That sounds perfect. All right, guys. Thank you, Tonda. Oh yeah, next week we get to Buckleberry Ferry, right, Graft Art? We haven't got out of the Shire yet with our adventure, our 8-bit adventure. We gotta do it. All right, guys. I'll see you over there at Atari Beer Pongs for just a bit, and then I'm gonna spend some time with the family. Have a good weekend. If I don't see you on Sunday, see ya.
Dunaway, how's it going? Malcolm and Raiders. I'm Atari Beer Pong, and we're playing some games here on our RNG Friday. Welcome. And Brian Dunaway is a super friendly streamer who plays a fair bit of Atari and other things in their channel. Todd Agasa, welcome in with that raid as well. How you guys doing? Let's give you guys proper raid greens that I'd like to do here.